Cat from SoulBattleRock.com. I've got with me Richie Kotzen. Richie, are you about to release Cannibals, or have you already released Cannibals?
Cannibals was released on January 8th.
Okay.
And, so it's out.
All right, so Cannibals has been released, his latest solo effort, which there have been so many throughout the years, and you've been quite an accomplished musician. So tell me about Cannibals. How did that start?
Well, I guess the newest composition on the record is the title track, Cannibals. And, all the songs kind of come to me in different ways, That song in particular, I remember I was, oddly enough, I was in a restaurant, not a cannibalistic restaurant, but a normal restaurant. And I just heard the idea for somehow, I don't know if it was conversation or something happened, and suddenly I had like the melody kind of come to me, and the opening lyric, the lyric of the chorus, it just kind of hit me, and I kind of had instantly like a concept about writing a song about how people kind of step over each other and to get ahead, with no real regard for someone else or someone else's feelings or whatever. And so that was kind of the origin of the song. And so I came home and I kind of heard the whole feel, the drum beat. Usually when I hear a melody, I instantly hear the drum beat. So I went in and sat behind the drums and played that beat and started overdubbing. And so I came up with the chorus, and then just out of messing around, the verse kind of evolved from me just kind of jamming out, on the bass, and it kind of went in that direction. So the song was one of those songs that kind of wrote itself, it just kind of happens to come together that way. And that's always my favorite thing is when, it's kind of an effortless kind of thing to write a song. And then some of the other material is a little different. The second song on the record, In an Instant, is actually part of that song is pulled off of a recording that's almost 10 years old, which would be the intro to the song and the pre-chorus.
Are you talking about you?
I'm talking about the song In an Instant, the second song.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and the part of the song where this is part where I sing Alone in a Dream is where I found you, and I have kind of this keyboard part, guitar part. The actual lead vocal and guitar were recorded 10 years ago, and I pulled that off of a different song that I never finished, as I did the same thing for the intro. Both those parts were pulled off of a different version of that song, and then I rewrote the chorus and recorded a new drum pass and a new bass guitar part. So there were some interesting writing techniques on the record. And then to touch on another highlight for me, which you brought up, the song You. That song is a song that I actually wrote with my daughter. And it was based off of a piano part that she was playing over and over again. And she was probably about 14. And she's just about to turn 18 now. But she was playing this part. And finally one day I said, what is that? She said, I don't know. It's something I made up. So I said, well, you should write a song around that. And so I recorded it, and she played it for about 7 minutes, and that sat on my hard drive for many years. And I went back and found that recently, and I thought this is just too interesting to not write to it. So I ended up writing some lyrics and put a vocal on there, and that ended up being one of my highlights for me of the record. And we shot a music video for it, and that was the first single that I released from the Cannibals record. That actually, the video actually went live at the end of last year. And so it's kind of an interesting record, stylistically, and just the general approach to how I recorded and wrote the record was a little different than what I've done in the past.
It's funny because you're just like nailing all my questions, and I haven't even asked them yet. But you touched on all of them so far. So, like you said, this is different approach that you've used with anything that you've done in the past. It's definitely a different sounding album. Your voice is amazing. Your guitar playing is amazing. You said that you did all the drums and everything for this album, all the recording.
Yeah, I have some guests on the record. I did play all the instruments, bass, guitar, normal guitar, drums, keyboards. But then I had some other guests, mostly vocally. Actually, my girlfriend Julie Lagey is a great bass player and a great singer, and so she sang a bunch of backgrounds with me on the record. Doug Pinnick from the band King's X sings with me on one song. We kind of turned it into a duet. And actually, Billy Sheehan sings on a song. So mostly, I had some contributions vocally, just to get some other flavors on there. And it's interesting when people ask me sometimes, like, why do you record that way? And meaning playing everything. I don't always do that. I don't always do that. But what happens a lot of times is I hear things, and I sometimes hear them finished. Once they're written, I can kind of hear the song in my head, and I know how I want it to be recorded. And my end objective is to get what's in my head to come through the speakers. So, for me to get in the studio and spend some time in there, I can come out with a completed song that sounds pretty much what I envisioned. So it's just something that just kind of happens very naturally. But at the same point, I do have records where I've got, other guys playing, and it's more of a collaborative thing. I've done both.
So do you think there's going to be a tour with this album?
Well, I have thought about that extensively, and the reality is, for me, since before the Winery Dogs, and so I did the Winery Dog record, and I actually went back out on tour with with a solo tour in Europe, and then I came back, went immediately out with the Winery Dogs, which ended up being over a year worth of shows. So, and then I came off the Winery Dogs and went back out with my solo band for 3 months. I did. Most recently, we did South America, a month in the United States. We went to Japan. We did a month in Europe. And so that all just ended recently, and I just decided I need to take some time off. So although I have the opportunity to go back out, I was able to go back to Europe again this June. I decided just to hold off and just take a break just for the physical wear and tear that was kind of feeling like things were catching up to me. So I just literally decided to take a break. And, in lieu of touring, I normally don't make music videos very often, but for this record, there's actually 4. The 4th one has not been released yet, but I figured, I'll put out some videos for this thing and just take a break. The touring thing for me becomes a bit heavy, and I've been out for what I feel is long enough, so I needed a break.
I don't blame you. You said you had a daughter. Do you have any more children?
No, I don't.
So
it's just my daughter, August.
Does August go on tour with you?
Actually, when we played in Los Angeles, we had like 1 week left, and she got on the bus and she hung out with me. That was the first time she got on a tour bus, and it was fun. It was really cool. But she's a musician too, so hopefully one day she decides to, and she has the opportunity, she'll be out there doing the same thing.
Yeah, she's pretty close to the age. Or how old were you when you released your first album? 19? 20?
My first album was released when I was 19, and the material was written when I was 17, and I recorded it when I was 18. So it was like that last year in high school, I was kind of, I was trying to get out of my small town, and at the time there was this whole movement in guitar playing in the rock scene, this kind of crazy, post Eddie Van Halen, insanely difficult, guitar style. People decided to call it shredding, but in my opinion, it was much more than just playing fast, and so I saw that as an outlet, and so I started sending demos, and I ended up getting my record deal pretty much right when I graduated high school. So I went out to San Francisco and did my first record. So to answer your question, my first record was actually released in '89, which put me at 19. So
she's pretty close if she decides to do something.
Well, she's actually working now in the studio and some things. And recently, a very well-known, very successful producer flew her over to England for 2 weeks, and she wrote some really amazing songs with him, and she's got some really amazing songs that she's written on her own. So she's right now in pre-production, and she has like a SoundCloud. She's got some stuff up there, and things are so different now than they were when I got started, because when I was starting out, you had to have a record deal. It's the only way, people could really hear you. And now it's just, I think it's a lot cooler in the sense that, if you have something that you want to share with people, you can just put it out and it's right there,
I think that would be a lot harder, though. Because so many people can do it.
Well, what's harder now is getting people to pay attention.
Yeah.
So there's always something. So for me, someone that already has a base that's been built over the course of 20 years, it's a better situation for me because I can just put out music when I want to and
right.
put out the kind of music that I want to put out. Whereas in the past, I was held hostage to having a recording contract. And not only if I did have a recording contract, I had serious limitations put on me stylistically because they are trying to sell you and sell products. So they need to be able to package that and narrow the creativity down to something very mundane, in my opinion. It's got to be the same, thing. There's not a lot of room for variation or experimentation and direction. So now, for someone like me, I can kind of put out music that goes directly to my base, and I can tour, and it's a beautiful thing. Where it's a little difficult is for someone that doesn't already have a base. They can put out their music, but then to get people to know about it is a whole other thing, which I don't really know how to do that. It just seems that seems a little foreign to me, just by nature of,
right,
where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, you've been doing the same thing for so many years as far as recording, having a recording contract, and then now it's like putting something up on YouTube would be like, what? No.
Right.
So the burning question on the minds of us here at Full Metal Rock is, will there be a sophomore effort for the Winery Dogs?
Yes, there will, and that's the next phase is writing for that record. And we did get together last month, and we threw around a bunch of ideas. And so the objective is to take these ideas and develop them and turn them into finished songs. So I think, realistically, we could have a record out, sometime late this year, in my opinion.
That's awesome. I love Billy Sheehan. He's been one of my favorite bassists forever. So good.
Oh, yeah, I saw them last night. Mr. Big played in L.A., so I went out and supported my buddies. It was nice. It was a good hang.
You weren't a part of that?
I was in the band in 2000, I guess it was, in 1999 I joined the band. I did 2 records with them, and then I guess,
they got the original lineup.
Literally broke up. The band literally broke up, and then years later they reunited with Paul again. So I guess they have a new record out. So last night was their last show that they did, and so we just went out because they played, 10 minutes from my house. But it was nice. It's always fun to see those guys. Yeah,
especially so close. My God. So if you're driving in your car by yourself, what's on your radio? What are you listening to?
I'm listening to the sound of my motor because I drive a Carrera S, and I love the sound of the engine. I pretty much don't listen to music, or if I do, believe it or not, I'm listening to talk radio, which I know is really boring. I had a friend get in my car once and tell me I'm the only person he knows that listens to AM radio.
Not the only person, I bet, but I bet you there's some closet AM listeners they don't even know about.
Yeah.
So I know you've played with so many amazing musicians. I saw something, I think on YouTube. It was you and Paul Gilbert, by the way. Yeah, Paul Gilbert. And it was George Lynch, I think you guys were doing 40 Days in the Hole at House of Blues. Yeah. It was awesome. It was so sweet. But
that was like a thing we did. I think we were trying to expand that and get more dates, but it only ended up just being like 3 shows in Southern California. But that was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, those guys are so good. But is there any musicians that you've thought of, like, man, I'd love to do like a collaborative effort with this guy or this girl? That you
there are. Yeah, I get that question, and I get this question, and then I'm on the spot and I can't think of anybody. But I mean, there's definitely some really cool music. I mean, like as far as people that are popular now, like I love what Pharrell does. You know, I just think he's awesome, and Bruno Mars is great. You know, so there's definitely a lot of newer people, you know, on the scene, even though they're not really new because they've been around for a very long time. But
new to the public.
So for someone like me, you know, it's new. But I love those guys. I think they're great. And, you know, every now and then I hear something on the radio. I'm like, who's that? You know?
Right.
But I have to confess, I'm not super tuned in to what goes on in the pop world. I watched the Grammy Awards, and they were part of them anyway. And it just seemed like there's an element of chaos that just didn't seem to exist, you know, years ago. When I was a kid, I used to watch the Grammys, and it just seemed like so, I don't know, so proper and just, you know, such a prestigious event. And now it just seems like, you know, it doesn't seem the same to me. Maybe I'm just kind of an old guy, but
I feel the same. I'm only a few years younger than you. I'm 41, and I feel the same way. I'm like, my sister and I used to sit there and wait for the rock category. Could not wait to see who was going to win the rock one.
It seems like, I guess to sum it up, it seems like there's no class to it anymore. It seems like at one time the Grammys were a really classy, prestigious event, and it really seemed to mean a lot. And now it just seems like a joke. It seems kind of chaotic when you've got people, you know, getting on the stage, you know, saying people shouldn't get awards and all of this. It just seems like really like pretty low class, you know. It's just hard to watch.
Yeah, that hit a nerve with me. That really hit.
It's kind of retarded. I don't know. I don't see the point to really even focus on it.
I know.
It's so insignificant to me as far as like art, and even the notion of like awards for art seem kind of odd to me. Like, who's to decide, you know?
I think it's more of a popularity contest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's definitely not rewarding artistry, that's for sure. I mean, with Beck, thank God, but some of those people are. I mean, you sit there and hear a lyric in your head and hear a melody and hear a riff and come out with a song. That's artistry, in my opinion. But so let's see, what else? Question. Oh, what's your favorite go-to guitar?
I have my own model with Fender that's been my main guitar for
that was my next question.
Since 1996. Yeah, it's a Telecaster, something that I had a hand in modifying, and so it's very customized to my specifications, and it's really what I play. You know, I take it right off the rack. The only thing that I do to the guitar is I sand the finish off the neck just because I like the way that feels. And then I also add this little device. It's an electronic tuner, and that's pretty much it. But I've been playing that guitar for a long time, and I also have a signature model Stratocaster. So over the years, I've kind of flip-flopped between the Strat and the Tele, but it seems as though most of my time has been spent playing the Telecaster.
So if you could change one thing in your life, going back, anything, what would it be?
I don't think I would change anything, because then if I change something, then who knows how that would affect another situation where it's all kind of connected, and so much of the things that have happened in the past, be them positive or negative, have been instrumental in carving out, you know,
who you
the
are.
most important things for me, you know, today. So I don't really think in those terms. You know, I don't really. When I think of the past, you know, a lot of times people have to bring stuff up. Remember when we did this? Remember that? Oh my God, yeah, I forgot I did that. I mean, it even happens with songs with people. I meet people and talk about a song that I may have written, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I forgot about that song. What record was that on? So I certainly don't have a lot of the things from the past that strong on my radar.
Is there anything you'd like to tell your fans, or any final thoughts for us?
Well, check out Cannibals. I had, a lot of fun putting this record together, and I think there's some really interesting things in there and a couple of special moments. So if you feel inclined, check it out. And I guess I'll see you on tour next with the Winery Dogs.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure, Richie. On behalf of FullMetalRock.com, we wish you the best with your career, the rest of your career, and the tour, and the album. You take care and have a great day.
Thank you. All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.